anything on the table that makes people say, maybe I won't vote for the premier again? Because right now, polls would suggest that he will win not only a majority, but a big majority on election day. So the job of the opposition is to eke away at the premier's lead, at his numbers. And so far, that doesn't seem to be the case. So it was why I was so interested to get a breakdown of what was happening on the campaign trail today. Let's kick it off for you, but I want your perspective on this. 416-872-1010. Is there anything that you just heard in my conversation with Siobhan Morris or that you heard in our 2 o'clock newscast that makes you pause and say, maybe I'll take a second look at this leader, at this party, at this candidate? Here's what happened today. Premier Doug Ford was out. Of course, he was talking about Trump and the tariffs as he does every day, but he announced that a re-elected Doug Ford government would remove all tolls on the private portion of the 407. That's the East End portion. So if you live in the East End of the GTA, or you live further east of the GTA and commute, and you use the 407, it will now be a free highway for that portion. He also announced that the gas tax reduction he made during COVID will actually be permanent. Those were his 2 big announcements. They were not costed. Bonnie Crombie announced that she will double the amount that an individual on ODSP will make over the course of the next 2 years. Pretty significant. Right now, ODSP goes up by an inflation amount, which of course this year isn't that much. Doubling in the next 2 years. Pretty big ticket item. 416-872-1010. Do you like either of those proposals? And not to be outdone, Marit Stiles of the NDP says she will end homelessness encampments. And the way she's going to do that is as a provincial premier, will take responsibility for housing, pull it up from the municipalities. She will build 60,000 units of supportive housing and, as I said, will end homeless encampments and will double the cost of the ODSP, double the amount you can actually get on ODSP. 416-872-1010. Anything there that entices you as you think about how you're going to vote between now and February the 27th. 416-872-1010. In one way or another, they're all pocketbook issues, all dealing with affordability for Ontarians. But not all of those issues matter to every single one of us in a very personal way. I don't use the eastern part of the 407, so it's nice for folks who do. I don't find myself, thankfully, on ODSP. But it is a good announcement for people who struggle on ODSP. And I'll say, listen, I'm all for supportive housing units, but I don't believe it is the be-all and end-all for ending homelessness. I just don't believe that will end encampments, as Marit Stiles says, by building 60,000 units of supportive housing. May help, but I don't think that actually answers the challenges and the problems for our homeless encampments in their entirety. 416-872-1010. Do any of these things appeal to you and make you think about who you might vote for on February the 27th? Let's start with Ron in Guelph. Hey, Ron.
I've lived under all 3 governments, NDP, Conservative, and Liberal, and the least harm for me is the Conservatives. The NDP will send us into oblivion like Ray did, and then all of a sudden you got to take all the money back. The Liberals was a mess, and there's no way I want to live through that mess again, so that's where I stand.
Now, do any of the policies, whether it is the 407 or ODSP, do they appeal to you at all?
I'd like to see ODSP higher for truly handicapped. I have no problem about people, but as far as building 60,000 units, I can't see them doing it. I just can't. And the tolls on the 407, well, it'd be free, but then it'd be clogged. So.
Thanks for the call, Ron. I appreciate it. 416-872-1010. My one observation on all of this is I am not convinced, whether you like the announcements or not, that any of the 3 leaders today actually actually put something in the window that will drive votes. Because I think that, well, we can all nod our head that people who are truly disabled should be at the top of the list for people who receive the support of our tax dollars. I don't know that it's a vote driver. Maybe it is for you. 416-872-1010. It might be good public policy. It might be needed in this province. But does it actually make a difference if you want to vote for? In who you believe in? Because I would suspect that if you believe that it is a vote driver, you may already be voting for either the New Democrats or the Liberals. I think, and John Tory and I have talked about this on our daily chat at 3:40, I think the Liberals are better to be talking about all forms of health care. Now, I know Bonnie stressed that this is about good health, that if you can't afford to pay your bills, the stress of that is also a health announcement. But honestly, there are so many health direct issues she could be talking about that might actually move the needle. Let's go to Paul in Brampton. Hey, Paul, what do you think?
The biggest problem I got with Doug Ford is he's the 407. Where is he to get this money to replace that? He's already given the driver a break with a license plate. How is he going to replace that money? Like his shopping list is like 10 feet long. Dig tunnels, build nuclear power stations, build highways. Where is he going to get all this money? That's what I want to know as a taxpayer.
That's a great question, Paul. And if you heard me discuss with our Queen's Park reporter Siobhan Morris a few minutes ago, I asked that very question of each of the three policy platforms, and there were no big price tags attached to the announcements. Thanks for the call, Paul. Let's go to Jason in Oakville. Hey, Jason.
Hello.
Hi, what did you think?
Well, I don't think I'm going to change the way I'm going to vote based on empty promises for many reasons, including that there is never accountability when they don't deliver.
So do you know how you're going to vote, Jason?
Of course I do.
And nothing that you heard today is going to change that?
No, absolutely not.
Yeah, I think so, Jason. Thanks for the call. I think regardless of who you actually have, if you've made up your mind, and polling would tell us that a good majority of us have decided how we're going to vote, I think if you've already made up your mind, there's nothing in this basket of goodies, all three basket of goodies, that is actually a vote driver. And so for Premier Ford, who is sitting at in and around 45 to 50%, depending on which poll you pay attention to, which poll you're watching, he doesn't need to move the needle upwards. He needs to just not lose ground. And the way he loses ground is either making mistakes on his own or the opposition, either Bonnie or Marit or both together, driving messages, driving issues that make people stop and say, hey, maybe I should rethink re-electing Doug Ford. And so far, again, 1 weekend, 3 to go, I don't think either of them, and the polls would bear that out, I don't think either of them, including with today's expensive announcements, have put anything in the window that is chipping away at the Premier's current lead. But John Tory will have a perspective on that in just under an hour when he joins me for our campaign capsule. And just a reminder, each and every day, News Talk 1010, all of our hosts throughout the day, drop the important conversations we're having with you into a podcast called Campaign Trail Mix. You can get all of the daily provincial election news in one spot, wherever you get your podcasts. Our News Talk 1010 Campaign Trail Mix. 2:45, time now for News Talk 1010, time saver traffic.
Southbound 410 ramp to Steeles remains closed because of construction. Use Queen as your alternative exit. Good news on westbound 401 collectors at Winston Churchill. That collision has been cleared. Right now, -5. United Way needs your help fighting poverty in the Greater Toronto Area any way they can. Learn how your donation can make a difference at unitedwaygt.org. I'm Lex Tan, your next update at 3 o'clock on News Talk 1010 Toronto.
I want to tell you about Peter. Man, was he frustrated. He had an investment property. He had decided to sell it, felt he needed to sell it, but it had sat on the market for 6 whole months. He was discouraged, but he knew he wanted to sell. And so he thought, why don't I just reach out to Frank Leo and Associates? He kept hearing about Frank and his success. He kept hearing and seeing everywhere that they were the #1 RE/MAX team in the GTA with their multi-million-dollar marketing and guaranteed home sales system. That's what happened. After 6 months of this unit sitting on the market. So, of course, he reached out. They kicked into high gear, and within 12 days, the home had been staged. He had 2 registered offers, and he had a firm sale. He was thrilled with the result. No more frustration. If you or you know someone who was as frustrated, is as frustrated as Peter was, then you need to call Frank Leo and Associates. 416-917-5466. That's 416-917-RYAN. Or go to getleo.com. That's getleo.com. And start packing with confidence.
News Talk 1010 is giving you the chance to win the ultimate Greek getaway.
Spend 11 days exploring the beauty and wonder of Greece. From Athens to Olympia and
Listen to 4 in the morning every weekday for a unique keyword.
when you hear one, you'll have the end of the day wondering.
February 18th, John will be calling unforgettable trip for 2.
Imagine this. A roaring fire. Outside, a blanket of snow is falling. But the aromatic cedar walls of your chalet keep you warm and cozy. Is it your imagination? Or is it your possible? Find your possible. Play Lotto 649 for a chance to win the classic jackpot or the gold ball jackpot of $30 million. Buy your ticket today.
Looking to take your brand global? International Advertising Solutions brings global strategies to local markets, connecting your brand where it matters most by crafting tailored media strategies that fit your brand's unique needs. We secure the best ad placements at amazing prices. From TV, radio, digital, and Pulse International Advertising Solutions partners with you every step of the way to create campaigns that resonate with your target audience. Visit internationaladvertisingsolutions.com, your partner in global brand growth.
Alec Van Ryk of Van Ryk Jewelers.
We carry a huge selection of watches, namely Rolex, Cartier, Patek Philippe, Breitling, Omega, Panerai. I can keep going and going, but every one of these watch brands have intrinsic value as far as selling or trading. Customers that buy them, they can wear them with pride and know that they will always retain their value down the road.
Van Ryk Jewelers on Eglinton, 1 block east of Yonge. Visit them online at vanryk.com.
Long-term disability denied? Discover what your insurance company does not want you to know at disabilityrights.ca. And don't miss the Disability Law Show, Saturday afternoons at 1 on News Talk 1010.
A Tits Donuts coffee is the original collab. And now, any classic donut is $1 when you buy any size original or dark roast coffee. Get a deal on the iconic duo with a $10 donut. Plus tax at participating restaurants for limited time. Terms apply. See app for details.
Sometimes the best YouTube is less YouTube. That's why YouTube reminds teens when it's time to take a break. Get help managing your kids and teens' time online at youtube.com/myfamily.
On News Talk 1010, Toronto.
Thanks so much for joining me this afternoon. In about 15 minutes' time, I am going to talk to the individual who has been responsible for the 5 tiny houses that you see in St. Jamestown Park over on Adelaide, Jarvis area. He's joining me just after the 3 o'clock news. This will be a very interesting station. Monday evening, a man was driving in Pickering. Could have been driving home late from work, could have been driving to pick up a kid, could have been driving to the grocery store, just driving in his city. And he was rear-ended. Happens. Happened to me just a couple of months ago. I was driving to work. Roads were a little bit slippery, but I stopped on Mount Pleasant on my way down to the station, and someone very gently kind of rolled into me and hit my car. And so what do? You immediately put it in park, you pull over if you can, you put your four-way flashers on, and you get out to exchange information and to see how much damage has been done. I think that's pretty common. Anybody who's ever been in that situation, either as the victim or the person who maybe wasn't paying attention. So the individual gets out. It's an SUV that has hit him. The passenger in that SUV also gets out, comes over, and pulls a gun on him. Says, "Give me your keys." He does. He takes the car, drives off in the victim's car with the SUV following. Similar incidents occurred last week. This was Monday night, last week in York Region. And you know, when we look at carjackings, when we talk about car thefts, when we, think about how we keep ourselves safe in 2025, there's usually something that we're told to do that keeps us safe. But I gotta tell you, for the life of me, I don't know what it is here. Because you get rear-ended, you're fine, you aren't hurt, you don't think you are. It's not a big tap necessarily, but of course you're gonna get out, and you should get out to see what happened. To see what happened to your car and to exchange information with the person that hit you. And yet this is what has happened in our general community. Not once, not twice, but more than that in the last week. So I thought, who better to talk to? Give me some advice on how we deal with this than our own Mark Mendelson, our crime specialist, former homicide detective. Welcome back to the show, Mark.
Good afternoon, Deb.
So